Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. I'm busy bouncing between the two cameras, and I'm wondering if I'm given a lot of editing work. Boom, boom, boom. Hi, Bonga. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. Given, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm awesome, thank you. So I believe we start with weekly reflection.
You had 3, so you can start.
I had 3. The other 2, each one it feels relevant at the time that you share it. So we put them in the group, and then it's like, for commenting. So the first one was a very angry sort of one. No, they're all angry, I think. The first one was around, yes, saying that I realized that like a lot of the things that I've done have been motivated behind, like the motivation has always been, I'm going to show them. Instead of, hey, I really want to do this thing. I really want to pursue this activity. I really want to pursue this art painting. And so it just hit me when like I'm trying to start a new project, and then I was like, oh, a big motivation behind this is and then what happens to the dreams that I have? Do I even allow myself to establish my own dreams? And so it was around correcting that. My second reflection, what is my second reflection?
I don't have them here.
Oh, yes. My second reflection was around, I read a quote that says that it was, one of these things, love it to love it, and then somebody must fill it. Yeah.
Nothing given in love is a waste, even if it wasn't valued or reciprocated. The Bible says that you will reap what you sow, not where you sow. Your love will come back to you.
And it spoke a lot of truth too. Like often we want so much to happen. We want redemption from that place, from that person. We want that person to validate us and say, oh, I messed up. I love you so much actually. Or I messed up. You're so amazing. That person might never say that. But it doesn't mean that your love won't come back to you in another shape or form or from another person, from a flower, a leaf, a child. It doesn't, that is, keep putting the love out there, and don't and not just love, anything. Be good, and don't necessarily expect where you put your good into to receive from those places. It could even be in the workplace. Like being a great employee and not being valued in that space. Move on to the next space. You could be valued in the next space. There's so many places where we want our redemption to come from where we were hurt. And that isn't necessarily the case. And sometimes when it doesn't come from where we were hurt, we feel like we were not redeemed. So we fail to pick our heads up and look around and see where we are being redeemed. Where our love and efforts are being reciprocated. And because we're looking for it where it was not. And you can get caught in the rut of any sort of abusive relationship where you want this person to see your value. When you could actually pick your head up and allow other people to pour into you and to see value in you. That was a really hectic reflection.
I like it though.
I've been thinking a lot about specifically what you're saying about work, because for me, I've realized that I really enjoy putting in effort and genuinely doing it for me. Putting in more effort than what is necessarily expected of me. And by this, I don't mean that, there's this toxic thing that I saw making rounds on social media where employers were making this sort of shaming people who only do what is required of them, what is contractually, what they're obligated to do contractually, which, to be fair, no one owes you anything more than that. But the one thing I realized with the effort that I tend to put in the things that I do is I'm investing in myself, because I'm building the discipline to be a person of who delivers high value and quality in the things that I do. So I've learned to look at it that way as well. Even in the people that I show love to, I'm investing in, whenever I encounter a relationship in future, that person will benefit from what I've been doing out of discipline this whole time.
I hear you. So basically, the work that you do, you're doing it for you,
for yourself,
and your growth.
Yeah, even though you're not always thinking I'm doing this for me.
Yes.
But it will benefit you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even though it's not the main motivation.
Just be a good person, man. Just be a good person. Do the right thing. Don't steal. Don't kill. Work hard. And yeah. You'll reap the rewards in one space or the other.
Yeah.
My reflection. was-
sorry, I had a third reflection.
Oh, yes. It was about someone speaking down on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this morning, as I was getting ready, sometimes you'll just think of something that like somebody said that really hurt you or that really affected the way you see yourself. And you see how maybe in that season that it was affecting you before you got your healing, how it affected maybe even opportunities. So let's say if somebody spoke to your intellect and you didn't, raise your hand at the right time because you were so affected at that time by the words of this person. So I realized that it's really not okay to let things like that slide. You must take it as it is. It's an egregious offense for somebody to take your self-esteem away and intentionally do it. If somebody is intentionally hurting you, you must be offended. And you must stand up for yourself. Like I just had this thing, like you must be offended because this person is doing a lot. That thing could sit with you for 2 years. It could sit with you for 3 years. It could sit with you for the rest of your life. And it could shape the way you see yourself. It could shape the way you think, the opportunities you go for. You must be offended and you must take offense and you must let it be known that I've taken offense for A, B, C, D. Because I've seen how in my life, I think I've definitely let a lot of things slide. And I definitely don't want to be that person anymore. I want somebody to know that actually you've offended me and you are affecting the way I think about myself. And I'm offended. And what you're doing is wrong. I actually don't want you in my life. There it comes.
Hey.
There it comes.
Aye.
There it comes. There comes the anger. Well, whichever way you deal with it, but allow yourself to acknowledge and be upset about it. And allow yourself to take in that this person could affect me beyond what this needs to affect me if I don't deal with this. Yeah, because sometimes the shame of something makes you sweep it under the rug instead of getting healing, talking about it and getting healing from it. So yeah, I just said there, when somebody speaks down to you, it's an egregious offense. It's an egregious offense. That's the term. Like
When somebody speaks
down
on
you.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
There are two things I like about that. The first one is the fact that when in instances like that, we like saying to the receiver, I won't say victim, the receiver of that whatever word was said, you need to work on your confidence. You need to work on, no man, you can't let people get to you like that, right? Yes. Almost like shaming the victim, for the lack of a better word. Yeah. Then the second thing is that in speaking up to that person, you're taking your power in that moment. I know a lot of us who have been in uncomfortable situations and have kept quiet and wished they didn't keep quiet. To say at that moment, I wanted to say, we like saying, when I get home. Yes. In translation, I can't think of comebacks quickly. Yes, I can't think of comebacks. Now I get home and I'm like, I should have said this, I should have said that. So there's two things I like there. The fact that you're removing the shame from the receiver to say, it's not everything we need to work on. Why is that person saying those words? Yes. I mean, we know what is right and wrong. You cannot say certain things. So the shame should not be falling on the receiver, but more onto the person who's done the act. Second thing is that taking your power in that moment. And it just brought me back to kids, like teaching kids, you don't come back to me. Of course, you can come back to me eventually and tell me, but I would like you to get to a point where you tell someone your feelings right there and then about a particular thing, often it's making me reflect to say, often as people, when we're dealing with kids and the things they face, yes, they don't have the right armor, but we can build that armor. We often go, no, baby, you're beautiful. No, you're what, no, you're what, instead of building the armor to say, at that moment, you must tell
how do you respond?
Whoever.
Yes.
And it builds an adult as well who's going to be able to speak up for themselves when they need to.
And there was a quote that I had read once a long time ago that says, be careful how you speak of yourself because your inner warrior is listening. And it's so true. Like, I have learned post 30 how to speak up for myself. Well, I'm not perfect at it, but it's done a lot for me. And I wish I knew this at 25. I wish I knew this when I was younger, that my inner warrior is like, like there's this confidence that like, no, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that. Don't talk to me like that.
Isn't it so like, what is this? It's not difficult, but it feels uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's
what I've learned? A trick I've learned when you speak about speaking of your feelings and in real time is that I've learned that sometimes you'll say something like, I don't like what you're saying and I don't like how it makes me feel. and then somebody will want you to justify what is it that I said wrong. Then before you know it, you're entering into a debate. And so the trick that I've learned is I don't like how this makes me feel, and I can't tell you now, but let me think about it. But just know that I don't like this. So it gives me a chance to go back and reflect, but I didn't leave it open as if I was okay with it.
Yeah.
So that's the trick I've learned, to say, actually, let me establish what I'm feeling, but something about what you just said
is not right
with me. Yeah. And that's, and it gives me a minute to like think about, all the reservations that I have. And then I'm more geared for the argument. Because you're already knocked by whatever somebody said. Now you must enter into a debate about it, So it gives you a minute to actually take in, look at it from all the angles, and then come back and be like, actually,
and the
I was
person
right.
also knows
that
you're not happy.
Yeah.
Shifting the shame has brought back related type of conversation. There's a case going on of a lady who found out her husband had been, putting her on dating sites and allowing men to come sleep with her and drugging her. I think hundreds of men. I can't remember.
Some old guy.
Yeah. So
old, like for 10 years.
Yeah. He's been drugging the wife and then getting men to come sleep with her, right? So this finally went out and it's in
South
court.
Africa?
No, not South Africa. And it's finally in court. And what this woman says is that she had the option to testify, I think privately, something like that. But she said, no ways. I'm going to take the stand because the shame should not be with me. It should be with those men who were doing that to me and my ex-husband. And just the shifting of our idea of shame. It just brought that back. Yes, very dark. What I'm bringing
dark,
up.
but I hear exactly what
but
you're
it's
saying.
like we need to shift where the shame sits,
Is
Given we'll post an
shame,
article or something.
Is it shame that it gets you to not want to say, hey, I don't like what you just said?
I think sometimes because often the people that I'm around, they're super intellectual. So the debates always shoot beyond, like, I can't catch it. You know what I'm saying? Those people? People like, so it's always like, oh man, like I can't catch this argument. And I know that now I'm going to be entering into more of an intellectual argument about, you made me feel like crap. I like, that's all I've got to say. It was wrong. It was bad. But I can't over intellectualize this argument with you right now. I don't have the capacity to. So for me, it's always from that standpoint when I say, actually, I can't tell you why. But I know that I didn't like this and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always just to put a stop, but also to speak up for myself. So
I think also the shame comes in depending on what the person has commented on. So if it's something offensive that most people don't find offensive, it's shame to you because you're also answering yourself. You're also asking yourself to say, why am I ashamed by, like, why am I offended by this? So I think part of the shame is being scared to say, I actually didn't like that. Most people would be okay with that. Or maybe
or being called too sensitive.
Yes. So it's that type of thing, I think.
The thing I get concerned about when there's a move or a shift, when people are starting to take ownership of whatever situation, right? To say, no, I'm going to speak out, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, is where to know when to do it and how much to do it. So Mina, for me, the issue, the struggle has never been like speaking out and saying. Since I was very young, I've been able to. My issue has always been knowing when not to. So knowing, Guti, this is a bad situation, but know how to play your cards right and know when the moment is, you understand? And not only when to do it and when not to do it, but also knowing how much to do it. So which is why I often say, Guti, I take a while before I get to that point where I look at you and saying, no, now you're getting on my nerves. I take a very long while. Like it really, really has to have
because it was a muscle that you had to train.
Yes. Like for example, there was an incident where we were at the airport in Cape Town and we're chilling at Mug and Bean. Like our waiter guys just disappeared on us. Literally, he brought us food and then he disappeared so much that he passed us, waved at us, and then he left for a very long time. And I really got worked up. I could feel myself getting upset. I could feel Uguti when the manager gets here or someone gets to our table, I am going to throw a tantrum. And I really had to talk myself down. Like, I know that I was within my right to call that situation out, because another waiter ended up seeing Guti were getting a bit frustrated and ended up serving us. And I was like, you know what? I'll appreciate her. I will actually go to the ATM, withdraw money and give her money by the hand. Because I had to, being a person who I don't struggle much with saying, no, actually, I don't agree with that. I don't struggle with that at all. I need to be aware of the times when, you know what, don't ruin the day for everyone else at the table. You know?
Because that was my next question. Why didn't you think it was the right time to address it?
Yeah, sometimes you address it at the cost of the evening, at the cost of
the vibe.
You understand? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm actually also glad that I thought of that, because I realized that someone might be asking themselves, no matter why wouldn't you want to point it out? Maybe like your strategy, Bongo, would be a good one to use in that situation. Go home, take out your laptop, write an email.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Exactly. That might be a better approach.
Karen.
Karens are the ones who fight there.
Right there.
But I feel wow, what a different conversation. But from what I have seen with people, especially when we complainers, they would like it if you actually said then. Because I'm taking it to head office when I email. They can still contain it if you throw your tantrum there. But now when you complain via email or Twitter, it's gotten bigger than it should have.
Yeah, I completely hear. And I think that specifically if it's happening maybe at a public place or someone you don't know.
Yeah.
Like in the case of someone you know or someone you work with, I think sending an email might be better, because when you're sitting down, and I don't know if that strategy could work for you, Ursh, because I do understand what you're saying and I can relate to it. And sometimes you don't want to get into the defending yourself because the person is baiting you, actually. Yeah, they're
and
actually
making me
baiting
more
you.
angry.
I know, exactly. And now you're emotional, but you have to get into defending this thing intellectually, you know? Yeah, sometimes it might help, but you know what? Chill. Send the person an email and say, listen, I hear what you're saying and I get that you strongly believe that, but I just want you to know that I actually don't take I don't appreciate. Yes. You're this, you're that. It might, because now you're sober. Yes. You can process, you can think things through, and you know, you're not making yourself look like an idiot now.
You know what this makes me think of? Like, I used to be a person who doesn't communicate well, especially in relationships. So I was the type of person who would just keep quiet. And then I said to myself, I'm going to change that. But now I realize I do a bit of too much communication and I don't give the person space to process. Because now I'm ready to be the bonga who wants to solve things. I have an issue if you don't want to address it at that time. And I've realized even that is wrong.
I hear you.
It's a weird balance to make.
All these conversations is just like adulting is hard. Because I know that instance where, like, give somebody a chance.
Yes.
Give somebody a chance. You're constantly, you know, hurling things at them. You also don't want somebody to be at a place where they feel like they can't do anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've realized how even that, like, I really struggle with people who don't want to deal with things right there and then, you know, and they need time to breathe. And that's what you're saying. Well, you know what? I don't like this and this, but I need some time. I'll come back to you. You know, and that waiting phase gives me anxiety. It's like, let's deal with this, you know? Yeah. So my reflection is just on, I never want to find myself at a place where I rely on an individual for my well-being or my individual wellness. You know, I was speaking to you
1,000,000%.
I was speaking to you during the week, and I was just saying to you how thankful I am for our friendship, because it's shown me, Hori, there's other people you can rely on for different things, you know. And because of learning of how I need to, firstly, it's too much for that other person that you're relying on.
Yes.
Like, it's too much for them as an individual, but also even for you, because you need to build a source outside of that individual for yourself. should the person disappear, should the person come out of your life, whatever it is. And I'm speaking in the context of romantic relationships, because let's be honest, I don't want to say it, but like I feel like now I need to say it in order to create the context, is to say being hugely dependent on someone is horrible for you as a person. You know, we like saying these things like, for example, there's this talk on social media: are you the girl who leaves their friends or their plans with their friends for their partner or not? You know, and Mandisa was also on YouTube. She was speaking about how she's not that friend, and she doesn't take kindly to girls who ditch her because their partner's around or whatever, you know. And as girls, we're hugely critiqued for that. And I'm like, we just need to invest more in other relationships, finding not even dependence, but learning to be a person outside of this person. It's so important. It's so critical. And I'm not saying this because maybe you'll end up without that person one day, but I'm just saying, even for you as an individual, your growth, being, even for that person being able to know, I have a break from this person, or I have, because sometimes,
and this person has a full life without me.
Yes. And
because
you need
sometimes
a full
them
life.
seeing that you don't have a life without them also creates this leverage for abuse.
Exactly.
So for them, I see what, hey,
Alright.
Alright.
Yes.
She's here because she wants to be.
Yeah. So I think that is so important as a person in all
So you make relationships as a threat. You work on your other relationships with
You see, I told you my first reflection gig is bonds. It's always my motivation. And I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to work on it.
So I think that is really, really critical in terms of just working on finding your own, I don't know how we establish it, but just defining yourself outside of your individual, outside of your partner. Like, I was thinking, all of my relationships have been hugely, and this is not financial, whatever, but like, I was the type of girl who wants to go everywhere with their partner, do everything with their partner, you know, and I just needed to be, okay, life forced us to get there, but you just needed to experience yourself outside of your partner.
I can say that you were that girl.
I was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bonga was the poster girl for Mjolo.
Nah.
If you want to know what Mjolo looks like, you must look at Bonga.
Mina, I have issues with people who... Issues is not the word I should use, but I worry about people who date a person and then they keep everything that happens in that relationship like secret. And then some of them, you don't even see the partner.
Given.
Until, I just broke up with so-and-so. Yeah?
Given. No, you're onto something really deep. You're onto something. But there's also this other part to it where friends sometimes now feel very entitled to your business. So severing that tie, don't feel entitled to my business. But also, don't keep this thing such a secret that it's toxic.
Exactly.
You know, and that it's harboring toxic. Because sometimes it's often a secret and you don't want to share a lot because
something
off.
is cooking in there.
Off.
Yes.
Merit man. It's always something along those lines. Or that's why, you know.
It's been a secret all along.
Yeah. Or something about them, high sharp, you know. But yes, striking that balance, because I've also seen that it can be very difficult now when people feel entitled to know what's happening in your relationship, or to know what's happening. That's also like
there's also the danger for me of Uguti. First of all, I do find it so healthy for you to have someone that you can use as a soundboard to say, am I crazy?
Am I crazy? Yeah.
That's so healthy. People take that for granted, right? Yeah. And then also, there are times when you just need to know, Uguti, I really think this person is abusing me, but like, I'm not sure if it's me, right?
But also, friend, can I ask about this soundboard thing? Because what I've also learned about the soundboard narrative is that it's difficult for somebody to be a true soundboard when you only hear one side of the story. Because even when I narrate the story, I already have an outcome I'm looking to hear from you. And so I tell the story in a certain way. Do you get what I'm saying?
True, yes.
Nobody ever, or we even struggle to see things as both sides when we're in it. So I've also learned that even with like my friends, my family, when they completely take my side, I have to reflect on how I've told the story.
That's the solution. Yeah, see, that's the solution. Because I can tell you now, I've had instances where it actually maybe the question is the issue with the narrator, and the narrator has to work on narrating things. Yes, you obviously will be biased. We have biases at so many different levels, but the degree to which you are biased, you can work on, right? You can literally say, no, look, he has been doing this and doing that, you know, or she has been doing this and doing that. Because I know I've had my friends call me out on things. My guy, now you need to chill on this.
Absolutely.
You understand what I mean?
I think you guys are good soundboards, though.
So
you
that's
and Given.
Oh, thanks, doll.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can be like, no, here I'm going to hear the truth, whether I like it or not. They will put it in a nice way, but essentially be like, wrong.
Thank you for saying that, because I really do. When I listen to somebody telling me a story, I try to listen to them properly.
Yes.
Like, which part are they missing? But
Yes.
also
Yes.
without, because sometimes somebody olela hoena, and you're already ready to point out where they're wrong. So there's also that balance that you must strike. Trying to figure out where they could be wrong, but also not being somebody that somebody can't come and talk to you and be like, this and this is happening to me, without you berating and minimizing how they're feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
choose your soundboards wisely.
Yeah. But also, I feel like it's okay to know that you have a bias because you love that person at the end of the day. A bias is okay. As long as you can do what Given was saying is a good thing. To say you reflect on the story and how it was told.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think biases are natural. You always want to protect the person closest to you.
I've actually seen you do that, Ursh. Come back and say, you know what? Okay, no, maybe
I exaggerate.
Yeah,
To
I've
be
seen you
honest,
do that.
I do it all the time because I get quite delay.
Hey.
My story is right. I am somebody who needs time.
Yeah.
I'm a time person. I need to sit with my feelings. I need to sit with it. And I really think it's because I think my cycle already plays tricks on me. So I'm somebody who needs to go back and be like, hey, was that my period? and really just analyze where I was mentally, what was happening at work, because I think I am somebody who allows things to trickle over, my mood to trickle over into different spaces.
I hear you.
And so I have to always go back and back to the drawing board. Ursula, on a good day, how would I have received that?
Yeah.
But it takes time to get there. That's why I do like to come back and be like, okay. I actually think I exaggerated a little bit.
Guys, a whole episode on reflections.
Imagine.
We
haven't gotten
And Given hasn't done his reflection.
Exactly. No, these ones were deep, guys.
Yeah,
they were quite deep. They were really quite deep. Like, I'm actually thinking, as you're saying right now, that your cycle does a number on you. Like, and guys can read that as though, you see, women, this is why
we can't trust you.
their
That's why you
story.
can't be a leader.
Here's the thing, right? I'm actually thinking myself right now and reflecting on the fact that we as men, Bonga and I were having a conversation about some of the things that affect men, and they don't behave like themselves. Like we don't behave like ourselves. It's just that we don't view them as being trippy in a way that they actually influence our decision making and make us not be good leaders.
Do you mean biological things? Or do you mean, because when I think immediately when you said that, the immediate example I thought of was when a man's workspace or income space is not doing well.
I'm thinking of, that's one of the ones I'm thinking of. Also, men, our egos are stupid. Like, our egos are so stupid, guys. It's just ridiculous, hey? And then we know it's not... You know what's another way you can look at this? Look at the music, like in terms of music genres. Look at the ones that are dominated by women as opposed to the ones that are dominated by men. All the ones that are dominated by men is about how many women I'm surrounded by. No one's better than me. I got your girl. You know, all of the ones that are dominated by men, that's what they're about. And all the ones that are dominated by women, it's about, how I love, how we can hold each other, how we can make things work. And obviously you do have your exceptions within everyone. I think there are also a few exceptions with men dominated music genres, like jazz, for example, is a very soft genre and doesn't really try to have ego at its forefront. I don't know. I stand to be corrected. I stand to be corrected. Right, yeah. But I just wanted to point that out to Guti. I know as a guy, Guti, my ego plays a huge role in making me make stupid decisions sometimes, and including that work one. Like, when it comes to men and work, guys, it's deep. It's deep.
I hear you.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like the ego example as well because I think men's ego definitely is more heightened. All of us struggle with ego.
Yes, true.
A human being's biggest fight for me is probably the fight with your ego.
Yes.
But I think definitely men, they take it up a notch. If we're fighting at level 5, they're fighting at like level 8, 9.
True story.
Yeah. Your
Very
reflection.
True story. What was my reflection? And I had thought of it. Yes, it was coming from the comments. I forgot, guys. I don't want to lie.
Okay. No, we've had enough conversations to say you don't have to reflect.
Yes,
because you've been what is this? Putting in tidbits in our reflections.
Yes.
So are we still going to comment?
No, I think
nothing.
we definitely can't.
I also think we can't. We finished the whole 20 minutes.
Yeah, a whole 20 minutes on this. Sorry, guys. We will get to your comments next time. We will comment on Star's episode, comments on Toli's episode, but all very lovely comments that are very encouraging to us in the team.
Star's episode, I did not expect. No,
Star's episode.
People were so inspired and encouraged.
Guys, Toli's episode as well. My mom went on about you. I was reminded of so many struggles that I went through and symptoms that I went through, but I didn't know that this was related to, you were just like, I'm growing older. It's like you just give some sort of reasoning for whatever you're going through. But actually,
someone was actually like, I'm going to the doctor.
Yes,
to check.
Go check.
Because we've tested for everything, but we haven't checked if it's menopause or menopause.
And the part where these symptoms linger with you forever.
There was another comment for a guy. Who divorced.
I loved it as well.
I saw that one.
So this guy divorces and then he now writes something. He says, looking at it, I'm wondering if my ex-wife wasn't going through this. And because sometimes we just don't know that somebody's struggling with these things. And some of your struggles in marriage could be biological. This person could be going through, what do they call it? Premenstrual depressive disorder, PMDD, premenopause. Menopause, postmenopause,
postpartum depression.
Postpartum depression. That's another big one for couples. That's a huge one for couples where this person is just not themselves after giving birth. And so just
men need a conversation.
Yes,
absolutely.
I have a colleague who struggled with depression before, and then postpartum depression really knocked her. And she kept wanting to break up with the father of her child. But luckily, she was seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist. And the therapist said, could you hold off until we've dealt with your depression? Because you're making a very long-term decision when you're not even in the right place. And then she made a reflection on her choice to leave her job and how she regretted it 2 weeks later. She's like, what did I do? She's like, you could find yourself because you make such erratic decisions in this time that you could find yourself in the same place. Where a week later you're like, oh, it wasn't that deep. What am I doing? Because she's like, I keep asking you what's wrong with the father of your child and you can't pin. You can't pin what's wrong with the father of your child. Could we just deal with the depression first? And then we'll talk about long-term life decisions afterwards.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that we're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
We really are, because somewhere out there's a man or a partner, any partner who's watching that and being like, maybe I need to, do some. Because we're always speaking about how women need support, blah, 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 but most men don't know where to begin.
Guys, the thing is, this episode just made me go in a tangent where I was like, yes, this is a conversation we're probably not ready for.
What's the conversation?
No, it just really made me think about a lot. Remember when I was saying the thing of in a lot of relationships, people tend to assume that men cheat for simple reasons, right? This is a very deep one, guys. Imagine at 45, guys, 45 is young, and your partner loses their lapido. Gone, bye-bye, to the wind.
Sure.
And as much as I definitely will never take away from the fact that we need to protect women within that phase and we need society to understand and be accommodating, I sit down by myself and I'm thinking of myself in that situation. Now, Pela, it's real now. It could be either or. I could be happy, lapido, everything is fine, everything is amazing. Or it could be the other direction, right? And then you need to mentally prepare yourself, Uti, that's coming.
And also, I love what you're saying about this example, because we see women that stay with men that cheat and we think they're weak when they know. They know. what's happening in the relationship. And maybe their shame doesn't allow them to say, hey, I think he's cheating because
he's not getting
it from me.
You know, I've literally heard a woman tell me that they actually told their husband, rather go find some young girl because we've been trying. We've been trying.
Sure. Guys. Can I also, sorry, I know what
I know. Go ahead.
I know
Go ahead.
Can we talk about a little bit on the episode with the two ladies, the two baby mama, what? There were so many comments around these women, firstly, that they're very similar. I didn't notice that they were similar. Somebody said that this guy dated the same girl. And I saw how in personality, they both had a very forgiving, introspective, forward-thinking nature about them. Right? Because at first glance, it looks like they're not similar at all. Yes. But if you really look at their personalities, indeed, Thandi and
that actually makes sense as to why they worked.
Yes.
Because they are the same person.
Yes. And why the guy was also like DC, because, you know. And then somebody else spoke about, it was a funny comment to say, it's really when Christianity is such a problem. He was supposed to marry both of them.
Here's the thing,
reflect
guys.
On religions.
Hold on.
They, you know.
I have to say this. Christianity never ever forbids marrying multiple wives. There is no such thing. Yes, of course, the Westerners came with their traditional version where Africans just never, let me not say we never had monogamy. We did definitely have monogamy, but polygamy was just ubiquitous. It still is in many parts of Africa. But I must say this, and I know there's someone who's going to challenge me
parts
in the
of
comments.
deep Africa.
Did I say that again?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yo, I'm too sorry.
You guys scared my friend. You guys broke my friend. The internet and its comments.
I know, no shame.
Yes.
No, but anyways, yeah, I just want to say that I know someone's going to challenge it in the comments, but there actually isn't a scripture that forbids polygamy. It only, to show you that it's not even forbidding it. There's a scripture where Paul says, let the bishops only marry one wife. The bishops, because of the position they're in. It even says the same thing about alcohol. Let those who are in leadership. The deacons, it says, don't get drunk. To the bishop, don't drink. Because of your position.
For the rest of us.
Next time somebody challenges you for doing this, do I look like a bishop to you? Do I look like a bishop to you? Yes, but I found those comments very interesting. I found the part interesting where a lot of people didn't see beauty in forgiveness, in the basic things. They were more upset. And I could see, for me, it was more people's own hurts coming through. That wasn't their story. And that's not how their story came out. So they wanted to paint it as though, this is silly. What if it had been the woman that cheated? Would we still be sitting here having those same stories, you know? And all is fair and well with many arguments, be it feminism, be it religion. Lately, my question has always been, but are you happy though? Are you happy though? After you've won the argument, are you happy though? You know, after you've won the argument of why your way of doing things is better, are you happy though? You know, because if you're not, then because those two ladies are happy.
I'm thinking
because
exactly that. Yes.
That's what it boils down to. They've chosen a life that makes them happy and makes their children happy and makes their families happy and work. So are you happy? That's all.
But a lot of those conversations, I think it's Mandisa Dlangisa. I watch her a lot. She's a single mother with deadbeat baby daddies. And she's always just speaking about how in the comments, people always just, show their pain in their comments, you know, because her way of life in terms of exposing these deadbeats and what she goes through, maintenance court, how to go through that's her channel.
What categorizes a deadbeat? Not giving money or even emotionally not being present?
I think even emotionally.
Yeah, both.
Both.
Is it?
Yes.
So you can be a billionaire who sends their kid money every month, but when you're not there, you're still a deadbeat.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's
a good question.
Deadbeatism. Actually, I think we've had this conversation before. Or single mother. Or we had it around single mothers. You define it. Because your scale is different.
I don't want to lie to you guys. I don't like that approach. Because khona abanye abafazi guys uzoba present and they will swear you are absent.
Because of what? Lack of money.
It doesn't even matter whether it's
loving them.
It's just you, nje.
There's this thing, Sarata my or Tangwana or something
like
that.
Oh, how Sarati
yeah, you can't love one and not the other.
Yeah, because
and that's the trap many men fall into, like, but I do love my child and not you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Which we do need a technical definition for it, because we do need to have the conversation to be able to, if you have a woman come and say, okay, the man I was with was a deadbeat.
How do we define that?
What do you mean he was a deadbeat? Like, how do we define that so that we're all on the same page? Because you could be saying he's a deadbeat and he's providing financially and he's present in the kid. Maybe he was a deadbeat to you, a deadbeat husband. Maybe that a woman gets to decide that.
Yes.
Right? But whether it's a deadbeat parent or deadbeat father, then that's a completely different conversation. And I think for me, Ursh, to go back to your question, which is a very good one, being there emotionally and being there financially. I think more importantly, being there, like being present and being there emotionally and being an actual co-parent who's supportive
and
is
As a mother, I can second that.
Yes.
Presence is critical.
Is incredibly critical. I would say it contributes more than about 60% to being a non-deadbeatness, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Then the rest is financial.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So financial will vary depending on where you are financially, but being present parent, I know that's
Shem, and in a lot of the reflections I've heard of single mothers, not single mothers, but mothers who are not with the fathers of their kids anymore, they'll say, it doesn't work, but he's there, hey? Like, I've been able to study. I've been able to do this. Because he's just there. You know, a lot of them, a lot of the women, of course, other people, but my experience has been men are marked a lot on their presence.
Yes.
I think when you're looking outside in, you would think it's maybe finance, but most women definitely would prefer someone to say, let me take the baby, let me be with the baby, then, because a lot of us are able to provide for ourselves as human beings generally.
True.
We're able to make ends meet.
Yes.
But I find that presence, I could be saying this because I'm in a good financial position. Maybe someone else has a different experience.
Yes.
We should put it as a poll. On our community.
What's more important to you with regards to you and a separated father of your child? Their money they're providing. Because when you're speaking of relieving and time and things like that, Bonga, I saw a story on TikTok. This lady gave the child to the father for the weekend, and the child came back like just doing like a weird, I don't know how to explain it, but like almost like cerebral palsy sort of fits type of thing.
Yes.
I'm really saying this incorrectly, but they were doing like a weird thing that shows that maybe by way like they fell and hit their head or something.
Yes.
And they kept asking the dad, like, what's going on? And they kept like, no, nothing happened. Like, explain so we can go to the doctor. Or, no, nothing happened. The child's been like this. Child's like, my child didn't leave like this. And that was on TikTok. So I thought, it's a TikTok story. And I think it was an American lady. And then recently I heard of a story in 99, somebody that a friend of a friend, where same thing happened, something, they gave the child to the dad for the weekend. Kid comes back and they're just sickly. Like, what happened? Did you drop the baby? So there's some women that are listening that are like, oh no, can he just give me money and not come? Did you get what I'm saying? Can he just give me money and not visit the baby?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But also just the room that baby could have fallen in your hands as well.
Absolutely.
So allowing fathers to also make mistakes as parents do, it's almost like there's leeway. If a mom drops their child, they're not called irresponsible.
Yep. They're called ukatele,
hey kisono,
breastfeeder.
Oh my gosh, she's going through so much. Let's support her. If the dad drops the child, and so maybe that's another reason why men, it's not easy for them to come and be like, oh damn, I dropped the baby. I made this mistake, because they know they won't be offered the same empathy. So it's a lot.
What a tough conversation.
Sure. Anyway, guys, that was today's episode of The Conversation Capital. If you haven't subscribed, do the right thing. For now, though, goodbye. God bless.